Hey there folks, bear with me just a second on the video quality. I just wanted to show you this lens as I tell you a little bit about it. Now this is a lens that I paid just $60 for, and at some point in this video you can let me know in the comments whether you think that was worth it. So this is the 18mm f6.3 by 7 Artisans. It's obviously a pancake lens, it's a prime lens, and this one has a mount so that I can put it on my Fujifilm X-T3, but I believe there's also a Sony and Canon version available. Now paying $60 for a lens like this, you're going to end up with something, well, exactly what you'd expect. But it's not like I brought it for professional use. I brought this so that I could have something that had a little bit more of a character and a little bit more of a feeling than what we're used to with digital cameras and our more expensive lenses, is these super crisp images and we worry about settings and all these things. I just wanted to pick up this lens, I wanted to put it on my camera, I wanted to feel like my camera was light and I'm not carrying around the bulk of a more expensive piece of glass, and just point it at things and turn my very expensive digital camera into something more like a point and shoot camera or a disposable film camera. Now I have made one video with this lens before, and I actually think that I ended up with some pretty decent photography in that video. So I'll also link that down the bottom and show it up here so you can go check that one out after this video. But on this day, I just wanted to walk around and be free and not worry about too much. I haven't been doing a lot of street photography lately, and it's something I want to get back to, and in particular I really want to get close. So this focal length, this 18mm, which ends up closer to about 26mm on my Fujifilm X-T3, really just kind of allows me to get close and not worry about settings too much. I even in this video often didn't worry about manually focusing it at all, and just pointed in the direction of the subject and just really embrace those happy accidents that can happen. Maybe it's a little bit out of focus, maybe it's a little grainy, maybe there's a little bit of a motion blur. But I think one of the downfalls of photographers that I see all too often these days is that everything's so over calculated and so crispy that it starts to lose all feeling, and a lot of our photography ends up feeling less like art and more something like graphic design. And that's something that I have talked about on this channel before, but I feel like that's something that is very successful on apps like Instagram, and I think it's really easy to be falling into these traps where something that is repeatable and that you can just go out and do that over and over, and each time you do it, it really does, garner you some success and attention or whatever metric you measure that by. And you just keep repeating that thing, you get stuck in this loop, and I feel like a lot of people are doing that and they're not pushing themselves out of the comfort zone. And I feel like you just end up this dance monkey dance type creator. I would kind of even refuse to use the words artist, because those people feel like they're just copy pasting the same trick over and over. Because it is really important to me, and maybe always has been, to grow as an artist. I would be very skeptical of my own ways if I discovered what I did well or what I wanted to do very early in my practice of art, or maybe at a young age, and then just keep replicating that over and over like some sort of one-trick pony. I believe that practicing and using different tools, even within the same art form, in this case photography, is what's going to allow me to be a much better artist over time. And I'm not looking to be the best artist I can be at the age of 22 or even 32. For reference, I am approaching my 40s and I'm still looking to be that person in my 40s and 50s. And at this point, I still consider myself learning, and that practicing all these tools is going to allow me to refine the skill, and naturally over time I will gravitate to what that one or two things I do very well are, and practicing all these things is what's going to allow me to do that at my best and potentially at my peak. And so that's what I'm out here doing on a day like this. I know I'm not probably going to end up with my favorite photos. I know that this lens is not capable of producing the best image I can get. If I wanted that, I would go out and use my sharpest lens and something with an autofocus as fast as possible and my best camera. But that's not what today's about. Today's about walking around. Part of it is about going out and having a little bit of creative freedom and some creative fun, to not specifically always be completely concerned about with getting the crispest image and the best image you can, because everything needs to go into a book and everything needs to go into an exhibition. So a lot of it is just to go out and have fun and have some freedom, because those things are incredibly important. And at the same time, a lot of that freedom comes through with the limitations. I'm stuck to having this one focal length and only a manual focus and a set f-stop, so that I can go around and learn how to be creative with those limitations. What I do love about this lens is it does have a lot of character. One thing, not to double down too much on what I was saying earlier, is that this lens has a lot of character, and I feel like it breathes a little bit more life into the photos than things that I'm often seeing on social media, where, like I say, it can be every straight line is incredibly crisp and leveled out and almost too digitalized, and like I say, the sharpness and everything that comes with these modern cameras, this lens really kind of throws all that into the wind. It can be relatively sharp if you hit the manual focus quite perfectly, but to be honest, I've mostly been walking around with it manually focused to about the middle point of the lens. I think, if I remember correct, the minimum focus distance is about 30 centimeters, and it goes to infinity focus. So basically just walking around with it set around the middle. I know that's a meter or two away from my subject, and I'm just walking around and pointing it in the direction, even just kind of shooting pretty blasé from the back screen of my camera and just seeing what I get. And as I say, welcoming those happy accidents. On another note, funnily enough, I did actually manage to delete 2 of my favorite photos in entirely different ways while I was editing this video. So this lens not only looks like point and shoot film stuff, but it actually acts like it too, apparently, because every now and again when you're developing something doesn't quite turn out right, or film gets stuck in the camera. So it really was a point and shoot film camera day simulation with this lens, and I managed to lose a couple of the good photos while I was out there too, but doesn't really matter. They weren't museum quality photos, but they were my favorites of the day. This is definitely one of those days where there wasn't too much going on, but as you can see in Helsinki, this is a busy day on the street. It's a beautiful day, and there's just very few people out. This shot was actually kind of nice. The guy spilling the water there and not aiming for the bottle at all, and it was just a nice little capture. There's a couple of photos in here which are decent, but if you're someone who watches a lot of street photography on YouTube, these kind of POV videos, I'm sure you can bear witness that this place is pretty empty. I mean, look at this. This is in the middle of the city on a beautiful day, and there's 1 or 2 people on this block. It really is a difficult thing to be shooting street photography in Helsinki and expect amazing photos all the time. So some days just really are like this. And I've talked about that fairly at length on this channel at this point, I'm pretty sure, but it's one of the reasons why I haven't been shooting a lot of street photography. I just can't really get the kind of photography I would like to out of the city, and that just is what it is. And there are other people who get the kind of photography that they like out of the city. It's really a point of taste, and in my opinion, I'm just not that excited when I see photography from Helsinki, because a lot of the time you have to be very far away. People don't stand out very much. It's a very conservative way of being in this country, and that's no fault. It's just a part of the culture, and it's actually me who's out there kind of doing a little bit of the weirder thing and trying to capture that. And out of preference, I like kind of these chaotic cities and these very dense, packed areas, because it allows me to get the kind of photography I like. So it is what it is. I try to get close, as you can see here. It doesn't always work out that way, and it also doesn't work out that interesting. I know that's the same for every street photographer, but I would most certainly like to put myself in a position where there's just more people and more happening, as some of the other cities that I've visited in the world or seen across YouTube as well. So unfortunately, this video doesn't end up with a lot of great photography in it, but again, as I say, that wasn't really the intention of this day. I'm really curious, do you guys get out there as well? I know I'm kind of preaching on about this message of going out and breaking your rhythms and not just trying to repeat the same stuff over and over. I'm curious, for those who have made it this far in the video, are you also going out there and doing this thing? I mean, I'm only going off what I see on social media, kind of repeated over and over, and not just even by the same people. These days, and I've been fairly vocal about this, but I just see the same stuff over and over. And to be honest, I love street photography, and I think classic and traditional street photography done in a modern way is one of the most beautiful and interesting art forms. But I'm just seeing a lot of this stuff, I guess, that people call street photography. And as you know, myself, I've said in conversations, and I heard someone again, a friend of mine say the other day, is that you have to check the tag of, you know, the account name on Instagram to see who took the photo, because the style is so unrecognizable. And so I'm curious, are you getting out there and also trying to break your own molds and trying to break the molds of the trends that you might be caught up in? I understand the trends. The trend is, you know, what can get you a lot of attention, and it can even open doors for you and give you career opportunities. But are you someone who focuses on growing as an artist, or are you someone who's just focused on getting the most attention and potentially growing your business and selling prints? I don't think there's necessarily anything too negative to that. I personally can't do it. It wouldn't make me happy and fulfilled. But I'm curious, do you go out there? Let me know what you're doing to do that. And if you have something to suggest to me, I could go out and do the same. I appreciate you watching this long. This one was a bit of a rambler. I kind of just wanted to put a bit of a stream of consciousness out there. Until next time, happy creating. Peace.